Hey, it's Sebastian. If you don't know me, I started my first business when I was a teenager, and fast forward to present day, I have turned my initial $47 investment into around $3 million. I'm only 22 years old, and in this video, I'm going to break down how I actually did it. So how exactly did this all happen? Well, there are going to be four main key points, key phases in this story to pretty much connect all of the dots. So let's just start with the first, my origin story. Now, I was hungry for money from a very young age. My parents were honestly pretty well off up until the 2008 market crash, and then everything kind of flipped and went completely 180. We pretty much went broke where our cars were getting repossessed. I remember my dad told myself and my whole family that we had to move out of our house that we had just purchased. He's like, hey, we have to pack our bags and get out of this house. We just can't afford it anymore. And I remember my grandma had to bring us big boxes of food from Costco just to have us be able to eat. So it was tough, and this was where I really got a good understanding of what an absence of money could do to a person and in turn to a family. So now fast forward to present day, I just recently bought my dream car, my Porsche 911 Turbo S. I moved into this awesome house that I'm currently filming in. I have a dropshipping business that does multi seven figures annually in sales, and I've helped over 140,000 people start and learn how to start an online business. So I feel pretty good at this current point in my life. So the first real hustle I had was called iPhone reselling. Essentially, I just saw that people were willing to sell their iPhone for significantly lower amounts if they could just get quick cash for it. So me being super clever and smart, I would basically post on Craigslist saying, hey, I will buy your iPhones for cash today, to basically just meet people locally that had iPhones that they wanted to sell. Now, this was freaking awesome. I went from not making any money or making very little to now having a little hustle that I could do when I was out of school and make money to afford clothes, to afford snowboarding gear, to afford food, pretty much whatever I wanted. Now, this was great, but I soon realized that the business model was capped. I could only meet a certain amount of people at Starbucks every single day to buy iPhones, and then also there were only so many phones that I could buy locally. And so I could have either went out and became the biggest iPhone buyer and reseller, or the thing that I actually did was just went online and started to look for other hustles. The goal was to have something that I could work on, that I could just work off of my computer. So after some Googling, I just basically typed in how to make money online, like a lot of you guys have probably done in the past, and I came across a few different business models, which brings me to, I would say, phase 2 of this video, which is figuring things out. I heard of all these different industries, which is social media marketing, website building, Shopify dropshipping, Amazon FBA, all of these different things, and I did not know which business model to start. Now, I will say I got a little bit distracted. I tried to jump around and do all of these businesses. I tried social media marketing and building websites, but I really didn't like them simply because I'm naturally an introvert. I was not someone who really liked talking to people, and with both of those, I had to talk to clients. The one that I ended up enjoying was dropshipping. Now, I chose dropshipping because I learned it was pretty scalable, and I could run this business whether I was in Asia, whether I was in Hong Kong, whether I was in South Africa. It didn't matter. Like, I could just bring my laptop and work. This allowed me to potentially, if I could make it work, move anywhere I wanted. That was pretty much the dream. I would say phase 3 is around the trial and error stage. So this is where I started to see people online, like on YouTube, talking about how they're making like $1,000 to $5,000 a day with dropshipping, and they're only 20 years old. And this is what really pushed me to start the business. And that's when I did. And I was thinking it was going to go great. I was just going to start Facebook ads, start my Shopify store, and absolutely crush it. And long story short, I ended up spending all the money I had saved up on Facebook ads. This is where I took a little break. I didn't really like Facebook ads because I felt like I was just lighting money on fire. And then I came across influencer marketing. I specifically remember this because I spent $7 on an influencer post, paid some random Instagram page to promote my dropshipping business. I was selling little anchor bracelets, and the next day from that $7 investment, I made around $500, which was the first big win in my books. It's something where I had never seen that much money in a single day, and I was hooked on dropshipping. So it took me around 6 months to get to that $500 per day mark, and I wish stuff just kept going up. However, that's the furthest thing from the truth. So after a little bit, that store fizzled out, and then I couldn't really find any other winners, and I kept trying dropshipping. I kept doing iPhone reselling on the side, and it wasn't until 2019 where I had my first huge win. I found a product, built out a branded website on Shopify, and then ran Facebook ads, and in just 60 days, we were doing $100,000 per month in sales, which was honestly insane for me. Like, this is where I took a step back and was like, what the is going on right now? This is absolutely insane. How is this even possible? And it opened up a new window into my mind where I saw money differently, and I honestly even understood that I was at such a low scale, and it just really showed me there is so much more money that you can make in this world. And this is just proof, because no one even knows your brand yet, and you're already doing 100K a month. And once again, I wish this story kept going up. However, I ran into some supplier issues and ended up going down to less than $10,000 in my bank account. So I had these really high highs, and then the store kind of just crumbled, leaving me back to almost square one. I'm telling you guys this because a lot of people see dropshipping and think it's going to be such a smooth road ahead of themselves. However, it's the furthest thing from the truth. And I was completely stressed out at the time because I thought my life was set. I thought it was going to keep going up, and then everything just sort of fell apart. Now, this led me onto a new path that forced me to learn new skills, learn how to manage teams properly, how to manage customer support properly, suppliers, tons of stuff that made me a better person, and this came in handy in the near future. So I kept at it with dropshipping. I got up to around $20,000 per month, and then COVID hit in 2020, which completely tanked sales because my suppliers could no longer fulfill orders. It did suck for a second, but then it shined huge light on a completely new and life-changing opportunity: sanitary products related to the 2020 pandemic. I found a product I could sell, built a Shopify website for it, ran some Facebook ads, and in 6 months, I generated over $1 million. This was my first huge win for myself. It put hundreds of thousands of dollars of profit in my bank account and set the foundation for my life and for what I have today, and it was a complete blessing for myself. Now, this brings me to phase 4 of this story, which is the exponential growth phase, sort of where everything just pretty much clicked in my life. It would have been mid to end of 2020 because that's where I was profiting around $100,000 per month. So from all this money coming in, I had to treat myself to a car because, again, I'm a 20-year-old and I'm making tons of money. So I bought a Mercedes C43 AMG, and I thought I was Batman whipping that car. I thought it was the But this is when I started just taking everything in my life serious. I actually dialed in on YouTube. I started posting pretty much every single day because I felt obligated to share the crazy results that I was getting with my store. YouTube's also a great way to meet people, so I was making videos and then connecting with people who are now some of my closest friends. And so that's one of the main focuses once I started to succeed with dropshipping came YouTube. And towards the beginning of 2022, I bought myself another car, another Mercedes. I got a GLC 63 AMG. Tons of money in the bank, and I lived in a small town in California and was like, hey, I want to experience the world. So I moved to Dallas, Texas. I packed up my car and drove there in 2 days, got there, moved into an apartment, and I was in a new city where I knew pretty much no one. I started really taking fitness seriously. I was cooking every single day, working out every day, getting shredded. Honestly, this is where I just really dialed in on myself, like my personal self, my physical self, my mental self, and all of my businesses. And this was a crazy year. So this is where I really started to develop as a person. And then TikTok started popping off around mid 2021, and we hopped on that. We got our dropshipping stores on there, started running ads. It was perfect timing because I was getting bored of dropshipping at this current moment. I was dealing with some Facebook bans and all that stuff. And then TikTok showed itself. It was like if the gates of heaven are opening and these angels are just like, oh, like that was TikTok for me at that moment. So 2021 wrapped up. Amazing year. I ended up moving back to California 2022. Everyone's gonna ask why. I got a girlfriend and I moved into a house and stuff was great. I ended up locking in and I was already a millionaire at this point. However, I just wanted to dial in on dropshipping more, as well as give YouTube a little bit more of my focus because I definitely took a pretty big break where I honestly wasn't really posting much. So May of 2022, I ended up hiring an editor and he ended up coming in clutch. He is someone who almost holds me accountable to post now. And so I now post every single week, and I have been since May. And I went from making, like, I think our first month in 2022, I only made $800 for like $700. And then now, end of 2022, we did over $20,000 in revenue. Like, my income when we started 2022 was around $800 a month with YouTube. And then by the end of the year, it was at over $20,000 just with YouTube alone. On top of that, we launched a completely free dropshipping course and got over 100,000 people to sign up in the first few months, which far exceeded what I thought was going to happen and how many people I thought were going to sign up for the course. And towards the end of 2022, I ended up buying my dream car, my first real car, a Porsche 911 Turbo S, which is a car I now drive very often, and that thing is amazing. I also recently moved into this nice new house that you guys see me filming in, which I'll probably do a day in the life video so you guys will get a better shot of the house. And I am on any given day right now making around $10,000 or more per day, which is absurd. Now, you have to understand, everything I just explained to you guys, it all happens exponentially. It's not like you go from 10K per month to then 11K per month to then 12K. It's not like that by any means. At least for myself, I went from 5K to 10K to 20K to 50K to 100K per month in a matter of a few months. In 2022, I had 2 weeks, and this is hand on the Bible story. I promise you guys, 2 weeks where I was making $40,000 profits every single day for 14 days. I think it was a little more, but we'll just say 2 weeks. You can imagine the sort of rush that gives a 22-year-old, honestly, even anyone in their life. It is ridiculous. I also did have some L's with crypto and some other stuff, but overall, that is how I've gotten to a little bit over $3 million for my net worth. And I'm, again, only 22 years old at this current moment. I turned 23 in a little bit, but yeah, most of my money is all pretty much liquid. I'm not calculating like if I sold my company, I'd be worth this much. It's cash. I have I-bonds, I have a life insurance policy, I have a pension and some other stuff, like I have my cars, I have watches, but that is pretty much the breakdown. It did take a lot of work, and I had a lot of low lows where I went broke pretty much like a few times, but you can't appreciate sunny days without some cloudy ones. So keep that in mind on your journey. It's not going to be perfect. However, I'm going to spoil the good news. This is all worth it. I own cool cars now. I get to do whatever I want. It is 100% worth it. So don't let anyone tell you being rich sucks. If you want to learn more about dropshipping, definitely subscribe. I post videos about that every single week. So go to my channel, check those out. But other than that, see ya.